Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Jim Makes a Cartoon. I'm Jim, and I'm making a cartoon. This week, we're turning the clock way back to this past February when I first created the bedroom that I use in Dictator Cat. Specifically the view from the left side of the bed. The bedroom so far actually consists of 3 different angles, though in case you haven't noticed already, there isn't any real specific floor plan to the house that Dictator Cat lives in. The blueprint pretty much changes depending on the episode's needs. Kind of like that Stephen King miniseries about that haunted house. You know, that series where the house basically has a will of its own and kind of changes its architecture depending on how Stephen King wanted to scare you. Alright, I just looked it up here. It was called Rose Red. And I remember the marketing behind that movie being pretty ingenious. It was almost like one of those alternate reality games you hear about sometimes. Like it was allegedly inspired by this book who was written by another author who I guess stayed inside that house to research it. And there was this whole thing where he was apparently a credentialed professor who went to this prestigious college and took parapsychology very seriously. You could even visit the school's alleged website. You could even look up the school's website and see all kinds of information about it. Like they put a lot of work into making this seem like it was a real thing. But as you probably guessed, if you hadn't already heard about this already, the whole thing was just a marketing hoax. Very much in the same vein as Blair Witch Project. The book, as it turned out, was co-authored by King himself and another writer. The supposed university's website was actually owned by the broadcasting company that put out the TV movie, but it had a lot of people fooled for a while. Now, it's hard to imagine anybody being fooled by this, especially in the age of the internet where we can just kind of look up these facts pretty easily. Like, it wouldn't be that hard to look up who owns that website these days, unless of course they had that blocked. And even so, if you have enough time on your hands, you could follow pretty much anyone's data trail wherever you wanted. Especially the trail of a fairly large broadcasting corporation whose legal team probably advised them to at least have some sort of disclaimer on all of their marketing materials just to make sure nobody got fooled too much and decided to sue them. But bear in mind, this was back in 2002. Now, while that doesn't seem like a really long time ago, bear in mind, in 2004, when I started college, I definitely knew people my own age who had just for the very first time gotten email addresses through the college itself. So for a lot of America, the internet was still a pretty new thing. So following that data trail to figure out that the whole thing was a hoax would have been a lot harder. Although what I think is kind of interesting is that we're still kind of creating these myths today. Now, they may or may not be for marketing dollars, though that's almost impossible to tell sometimes. But seriously, just do a search for ghost video or UFO video on YouTube, and you'll find thousands upon thousands of results of people who are either hoaxers or even true believers, all making claims and stories about these paranormal phenomenon that they've allegedly recorded and studied. Like, it's interesting because even though, like I said, it's simultaneously become more obfuscated through the anonymity of the internet. So you never really know if somebody posting a video is actually part of a viral marketing campaign, or maybe an amateur or semi-professional visual effects editor just trying to test out his equipment, or even somebody who genuinely caught something strange on tape that they can't explain. And this becomes especially harder through reposting. If you know what you're doing, it's honestly not terribly difficult to download someone else's video and post it again as your own. And just like the ghost stories we used to tell on camping trips when we were kids, the stories themselves change just a little bit with every reposting and every share. For example, there's a pretty popular video out there about an alleged witch or ghost of some kind from Glasgow. And to be fair, it's a really creepy video. More than likely just some person in a costume, but there are multiple stories as to the origin and story behind this video. One story says that she was a witch, another says it was the ghost of a monk, and as it turns out, this video of an alleged ghost sighting actually wasn't taken in Glasgow at all. The original upload of the video, at least as far as I could find, was actually, I believe, somewhere in the United Arab Emirates. I'm not exactly sure. And that's kind of the point of the whole thing. I have one source saying it was spotted in Glasgow and another older source saying it was spotted somewhere else. And even I'm not sure exactly of where that source was. Even stuff that's completely traceable and public can sometimes get twisted into something totally different and mythical. And I know some of you probably already know where I'm going with this. Of course, I'm talking about Slender Man. Slender Man was created in 2009 on the Something Awful forums as part of a contest to try to fool paranormal researchers into thinking that they had actually taken paranormal pictures. So one of the users photoshopped a tall, skinny, dark figure into the background of some older photos for a submission. For whatever reason, a lot of users latched onto this, and it kind of became an internet phenomenon, spawning fan fiction, multiple YouTube horror series, and even the infamous video game called Slender. And even though it's only existed for about 7 years, you can already find some pockets of the internet claiming to actually have seen Slender Man. Now bear in mind, it's completely made up. A really quick Google search proves that. But if you search Slender Man sighting on YouTube, the second result is from a channel called Real Paranormal Videos, which is a collection of alleged UFO and ghost and other kind of sightings. So I guess the point I'm getting at here is, while last week I talked about how the internet is kind of changing the way we consume and react to stories and other content, the reality is a lot is still the same. We're still witnessing events and making up stories and changing them little by little each time we share them with another person. And also to say, I've been on a bit of a paranormal video kick lately. Don't personally believe in ghosts and stuff like that, but I find it kind of fun to get lost in the mythology sometimes. But anyway, what do you think about this? How do you think storytelling and urban legends and the paranormal have changed recently? Or do you kind of think they really are the same, just taking a different form? Or you know what? Actually, this might be interesting. Have you yourself had some kind of experience that you think might be paranormal related? I'm not asking you to come out and say you believe in ghosts and whatever. I'm just asking to see if there's ever been an event in your life that you really can't explain. Let me know what you think about all those questions in the comments section. And of course, please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, please share this video. I would really appreciate it. It really does help this channel out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see all of you amazing people next Friday.